aboard!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Woodsman Wack-Off, the series that puts two woodsmen face to face to see which competitor can whack off their log the fastest. In today's episode we have two firewood kings of yore, the Husqvarna 61 and the Poulan 4000. The Husqvarna 61 has been covered on this channel a good bit. Bodie sees it as one of the most competent general purpose saws ever built. Strong, decent RPM, and dead nuts reliable. Not to mention, they can be found all over the place, and parts availability is fantastic for this here saw. At 61.5 cc's, this middleweight farm saw enjoyed a long 17-year production run and can still be found being put to good use in the hands of serious firewood cutters everywhere. The Poulan 4000, on the other hand, is not such a common saw. Production started sometime around the early 80s, and I believe it ended within about 10 years. By those who have owned them, they are largely seen as good performing, reliable saws. Although their claimed 65cc is a bit optimistic, they still pack in 63.5 cc's and a healthy amount of torque. But will it be enough to beat the Husqvarna? Operators of the day on the Husqvarna 61, Soft Hand Steve. Soft Hand Steve is a chainsaw enthusiast with no real expertise to speak of. He buys his fuel pre-mixed in the can, if you get my drift. On the Poulan 4000, Hot Rod. This is Hot Rod's personal saw that he has big plans for in the coming weeks. He enjoys building killer chainsaws while listening to classic country music with his cur dog, Louie, at his feet. And if that ain't country, well, you can kiss his ass. Now let's get it on. Alright, the Hot Rod, what a goofball. Yeah, there's Soft Hand Steve standing there revving up the Husqvarna. Ooh, he seems like he's liking the power. Yeah. Oh, he didn't wave to his mama. This is new. All right, here they go. The gentle glide down the shaft. Looks pretty even. If anything, it looks like maybe the Poulan's going a little bit faster. I don't know. It's close. And there we go. There we go. The Husqvarna 61 takes it. Not by much though, but enough to count. It's a win. All right, here we are on the tug up. Both saws being tugged up as hard as their operators can tug them without them bogging. All right, both of them cutting along good though. They're doing really good on this, you know. Really close race, and right there at the end, there you go. You got your Husqvarna takes the lead. And we're going to dig in the dogs on the vice grip. This right here is where you can really mess things up as the operator. Put too much pressure on that saw and it stalls very easily doing this. But both saws making it through, and again the Husqvarna 61 is the first one through the yoke. Both of those guys are some characters, yeah? So anyways, your winner for today's whack-off is the Husqvarna 61. Great saw. Now let's go to Bodie and see what he has to say about it.
Oh, real quick, I wanted to showcase this. It's my brand new Kane custom garage t-shirt. So, can you see that? I'll put a link to his webpage so that if you want to get a t-shirt, he's got some coffee mugs, stuff like that. Go check it out and support him. Us guys that are producing this stuff need your all support. So, all right, so there we go. Both good saws, good solid, you know, just plain old firewood saws, really. I mean, the 61, I can see that being used by professionals, you know. The 4000, I can't see that being used by professionals unless they were in the 70s, and this saw didn't come out until the 80s. So, and this is a prime example of whenever I say, I mean, you guys know if you watch the channel, I really like my Poulans. I really enjoy my Poulans, but they have always sucked hind tit. I mean, they just have. They always have. Now, if it was just dead nuts reliability, they were as good as anybody else back in the day. Absolutely, they were. But whenever it came to actual performance, I've read a lot of stories online, and it's just bullshit. The Poulans are great, and I really like them, and I like getting good performance out of them. I especially really like my high tops. They are excellent, excellent farm and ranch saws. That's it. I've never had any Poulan that has surprised me. As in, like, well, I mean, I guess they have surprised me. The high tops, whenever I originally started getting them, I was surprised by those. And the high tops are the Poulan 3000, 3300, Poulan Pro 330, 3450, 37. Those right there, those are the closest that I have ever held of a Poulan being able to actually perform well. And it's actually a Poulan saw. Like I have a Poulan 425. That is in no way a Poulan saw. It has nothing to do with Poulan. It was not designed by Poulan. That was made over in Europe, I think in Sweden, by the Partner and Jonsered team of engineers. And that's why that saw is freaking stellar. You know what I mean? I have a Poulan 5200. That's a really fun, enjoyable saw to run. It's got good torque and everything. But hell, it's 85 cc's, you know? So anyways, I don't want to bash this on Poulan. Bash Poulan, you know. You guys know I love it. Literally, my favorite saws. I got to say anymore, it is... my favorite saws have always been Jonsered. But I'm having a lot more fun as an enthusiast with my Poulans. I mean, I really like my Poulans. It's just because they're cool. They're, they freaking bright lime green, and they'll throw purple in there. To some of you guys, you might see that as cheap. You might see that as, I don't know, just something weird. But I see it as cool because I grew up riding Kawasaki motorcycles and thinking that they were the fastest thing in the world. And all of a sudden, I find out about Poulan chainsaws and they've got the same color scheme, And so it's like, yeah, it just works in my brain, But as far as actual performance, not reliability. Two different things, I mean, a lot of you guys are quick to point out, and rightfully so, quick to point out that the fastest saw is not always the best saw. Absolutely right about that. I mean, absolutely right about that. You want a saw that fires up and runs consistently and runs well. And power is a big part of running well. And this Poulan 4000, I believe I was looking at the specs, and I believe it completely. It had a RPM limit. I mean, I don't think it's got a limited coil, and it's not governed either. This is just where it runs well at kind of thing, and you shouldn't go past this kind of thing. But according to the Acres site, it was 8,500 RPMs, which sounds right to me because honestly, that thing is no better performing than a Pro Max 700. I mean, if it is, it wouldn't be by much. And to me, that's just like, how did they get away with that? Because the Pro Max 700, if it didn't come out in the 60s, it at least was derived from a model that came out in the 60s, but it probably did. It probably came out in the 60s. I mean, I haven't looked it up, but you know, that's an old design, and they kept with it for a long time. They milked that cow for sure for a long time, but it's a long, old design with a horizontal cylinder. There's a lot of negatives to all the Pro Max. They hold heat. They're all metal and stuff, you know. But anyways, what I'm getting at is, how is Poulan going to come out with what was a modern chainsaw at that time? You know, it's got an upright cylinder. It's not using reeds anymore. It's using piston ported, which I'm not saying that's better or worse. That's just, they were ushering in a modern era for Poulan, and this was the design that they did it with, and it is lacking across the board in everything. And a lot of people are quick to say things like, oh yeah, but it doesn't have RPMs, but it has the torque. No, it don't. No, it don't. That Husqvarna 61 has more torque. You know, they're both open port cylinders. Now, I am looking forward to working on that 4000, porting it. I think that I am going to try to install my reed cage on that. That's where I want my reed cage. I want it on this 6500. Because even though I don't plan on that 6500, the 4000, even though I don't plan on winning any races with that saw, like not anything serious, you know, I do want it to surprise anyone who runs it. See what I'm saying? Like, you know, a lot of the guys at Sawfest, they're going to have saws. I know this. I know. They're going to have saws that will blow my little mind. You know what I mean? And I look forward to it. I can't wait to run them. You know, I can't wait to run them. My God, I hope I get to run Grant's bike saw. Whoa! I hope I get to run that thing. But, you know, I mean, maybe I won't. Because I can understand that's 60 horsepower in your hands. And if I was Grant, I wouldn't be letting just anybody run that saw, because that's dangerous. That's a real dangerous saw. But who knows? Maybe he's like, I don't care if you cut your leg off. And if he's like that, then I will run that saw. Yeah, with the Poulan 4000, I would love it if I could just make that thing run as good as a stock 371, you know, 372, something like that. I would love it if I could get it to that level. And I think that I should be able to. But I don't know. I do know that they're, like nearly every Poulan that's ever existed, they have horrible squish numbers. So the cylinder is going to require machining, and but I haven't broken it apart. So anyways, everything's speculation at this point. But the good thing is with this, excuse me, I keep burping. With this reed block, I wasn't going to use this on my Poulan 4000 because parts are very scarce for that. You know, it's hard to find pistons or it's hard to find cylinders for those. Little Red Barn makes pistons for them. But the dealio with it is, I think I'm going to go ahead and use this on that Poulan because the Poulan has a bolt-on intake, I do believe. And if it has a bolt-on intake, then I'll be able to weld a flat plate onto this, a flange of some sort, right? And then bolt it to the cylinder. See if it runs right, and then go from there. So, like, if I was to weld this onto a cylinder, you got probably I would say a 70% chance that you're going to screw up that cylinder. It's going to warp and your piston is going to catch. and I don't want to do that to a cylinder that is so hard to find. But can I bolt this on? Absolutely. And if I bolt it on and get everything to work out, get my throttle set up, I got a carb in there and everything, and I go, yeah, that's working. It is working. Without a doubt, it works. If I can do that, then I can go ahead and take that cylinder off and totally just get rid of all restrictions on the intake flow side. Because with reeds, there is no piston port timing. You just open it up as far as you possibly can. It's simple. And then you go, well, I need to get more flow, so then you start cutting holes in the piston on the intake side. You know, you start doing all kinds of stuff because you want it to pack as much fuel in as possible. And so anytime that piston is going up, any and all time that piston is going up, you should be sucking in fuel whenever you have a reed setup. Because as soon as that piston starts to go down, on a typical piston ported setup, like nearly all chainsaws are, as soon as it starts to go down, well, if you've got too much fuel mixture inside your crankcase, then it spits back through your intake and out your carb. That's very bad. It's very bad. It doesn't run right whenever that happens. Well, with a reed setup, those reeds close and it says, nope, nope. And then as that piston's going down, it pressurizes the charge that's inside the crankcase so that whenever the transfers finally open, right, and it shoots in above the piston like that, it's coming in pressurized. You know, like Smitty just recently did a video, I think it was recent, it came up on my feed recently and I just watched it, but Smitty was talking about transfers and he was using an assumption of 10 psi in the crankcase, right? Well, Smitty was doing that because of just easy math, right? I do that stuff a lot too. Let's throw out 10 or 100. And that way it's easy to do math because all you're doing is trying to get a concept across. Well, he used 10 psi as the pressure in the crankcase. Well, 10 psi is probably never going to happen in a standard chainsaw crankcase. I think they're more likely around 5 to 7 psi. But it doesn't matter about that. What I'm trying to say is, whatever the pressure is in the crankcase, whenever you have reeds and you have packed all the fuel and air that you can into the crankcase as that piston is going up, then when it comes down, it is really going to pressurize and it's going to turn into possibly 10 psi. And whenever that happens, boy, that it's going to come through those transfers as the piston goes down and really shoot that fuel in, which is really going to shove the exhaust out. So, yeah, looking forward to playing with reeds. Charlie Briscoe has already been playing with reeds a lot, and he's had great results with it. But he is a better builder, a better welder, a better machinist than I am. I am new to everything right now, and so I do not want to take the risk of trying to weld that reed setup to any of my cylinders. I would rather try to bolt it on. And we'll see if it works. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I won't be able to get to it in time. I'm staying constantly busy. And yeah, so there's that. But the 61 outpulling the 4000, I completely saw that. You know, I mean, the 61's a good saw. It is. It's a really good saw. So Yeah, it was not unexpected for me. So, if you have a Poulan 4000, I know a lot of folks, they get their Poulans. I mean, like Eddie, if you're watching this, Stank Man, I love you, guy. Yeah, I've broken his heart a couple times, you know. He's talking about, oh, yeah, this, that, you know, old saw being fast and stuff. The Poulans were never fast. None of them. The closest they got to fast of an actual Poulan saw, not a Johnson Red, okay? The closest they ever got to actually fast were the high tops, and specifically the 3450 or the 330, they're the same saw, right? Or the 3750 Super 380, they're the same saw. Even the 365, the Poulan Pro 365, that's a 60cc saw. That thing it has different port timing numbers than the 3750 does. And I believe it even came with a smaller carburetor. Now you can change them and stuff, but my point is they were good, but they weren't fast. Poulan, it just was never in their arsenal to have something fast. I don't know why that is. Because clearly they were making good saws back in the day. They were making good saws. But I guess they just never saw speed as important at all. Because, I mean, you know, like this 4000, that's a 65cc saw, and it's a modern one, and you know the Husqvarna will do 9,000 in the cut. The Husqvarna has like a 12,500 max RPM free spin. The Poulan is like 8,500, and it probably won't do that in the cut. You know, it probably is like 8,000 in the cut. Anyways, whatever. Ramble. Let's see how much time we got on here. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's Wack-Off. And, Todd. I know Adam is in there too. Is it Todd Adams? I think so. I think it is Todd Adams. I love you, guy. Why in the hell do you think that I was gone? You're like, I've missed you. I'm glad. My last video, I missed 2 days. I missed 2 days of posting videos. I mean, we got to take a break sometime, you know what I mean? And Todd was about to go nuts, man. Hey, where you at? We've been missing you in the comments, you know? And I'm like, what the heck? Did he miss all the videos of last week? But anyways, I love your enthusiasm. And Adrian, thank you for your gift. This dude gave me $50. I was just like blown away by that. I'm like, yes, finally it's happening, finally. The channel's really starting to take off, and welcome all you new subscribers. It has been a long road. I've put forth a lot of effort in this channel, and it's good, man. It feels good to get thank yous from you guys. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not out there saying. I mean, giving is not for everybody. You know what it takes to give? Spare money. And I know that not everybody has it. Trust me, I've been down there. Yeah, it's been rough. Divorce will ruin a man. I'm telling you. So, and I know what it's like to not have two nickels to rub together. So I don't expect you guys at all to be like just throwing money at me. But whenever you do, every little bit is great. I just got paid by YouTube, and nearly all of that money is going to go towards Halloween costumes because I have the big plan for the Halloween whack-off extravaganza thingy, dingy, dingy, ding, whatever you want to call it. So at this point, at least for sure, still pretty much all the money just goes right back directly into the channel. It gives me the ability to buy parts and stuff like that. And yeah, so if you want to give, just right underneath the screen, you know, there's a little heart that's got a $sign in it. There we go. Bing. A little heart that's got a $sign in it, and it says thanks. Click on that and choose how much you want to give me. It's very much appreciated. Yeah. Now I'm gonna finish this video and then I'm gonna put this on. Yep. That goes on the Echo 4510. We'll see. I just got a little job. One of the customers, he just simply wants me to tune it up and get it to run better, do a muffler mod, you know, little tiny things to it, that's all. And yeah, so we'll see if we can get that thing to run better. Ran like total ass. It's the 4510 that you guys probably have seen here recently. I just got it, and the guy got it from the shop running like this, and it's just pig rich, awful. Anyways, all right, that's enough. See ya.